Okay. We're a little bit late, but we're on. Muggy as hell. We're going to let everybody file in a little bit. And I can understand people wondering, you know, what's the latest? What are you thinking? I was out earlier, a little sweaty, thus the Road Patrol Live cap. But I want to wait a little bit and then um, I just think, and I want to explain it to everybody as everyone starts to file in a little bit, that I just think and you have a right to know, but we're at a break. We're at a breaking point here, and I'll explain why. I'm certainly not angry. I want to be rational. I would like to be rational through this. Let me just do this. Let me adjust one thing. I know 4:30. I got tied up with something. Plus, the weather is ungodly. So, and there's a threat of a thunderstorm. Now, how about now? Because of Texas, everyone's worried about the floods. I feel terrible about what happened. Obviously, like everyone else in Texas. There we go. So, and I get it. It's kind of spur of the moment. So we're not going to have. There's Jane Phillips. There's Julie. Okay, we're almost there. I'll start as soon as we hit 100. I get it. Yep. But this is, and I want to. I think it's going to make sense to a lot of people. Let me just double check. I think yes. There is. The sound is fine. It is. There's Robin. Yeah. No, we will be out tonight. But folks, I want to. I almost feel compelled. Oh my goodness. I have not heard that. 161 deaths. That money I have not heard, but I'm not following it hour by hour. But I want to just share with everyone because there's something you have a right to know what's going on. I think so. Right? We've invested so much time in this case. Hi there, Dark Side of the Moon. And what is and I have communicated with some people, but I want you to know, and I've been talking to a couple different people. Hi there, Renee. And there's one side talking. As a matter of fact, there is only one side talking, and they're doing all the talking. And no one's trying to relitigate the case. Not trying to do that. No, not trying to litigate. Not you're a sore. No, not a sore loser. Wrongo. No, not at all. Hey, other than the OUI, found not guilty. But there's a point that I believe that people are pushing it when I start hearing factually innocent. This is new. This is new. Haven't heard this. I want to be very clear. I'm letting you know, I can't come live and talk about, listen, that part of the case, it's done. It's decided. She got away with it. I still think the Commonwealth, I thought they made a very compelling case. That's it. Jury weighed in, for whatever reason. But at this point, either the people involved are going to speak out, or what do people think is going to happen again? I communicated with someone, and people are asking, and I said, the O'Keefes are silent. They don't have to come on with me. They should be speaking to someone. What do you think this campaign is right now? It's to boom. Again, the jury pool with the civil case. All the witnesses are silent. I don't get it either. Where are the lawsuits? I don't understand it. I don't know how there aren't lawsuits. There should be a slew of lawsuits. Alan Jackson. I mean, this is a victory lap like we haven't seen of a victory lap. And he is throwing haymakers left and right. By the way, he's not throwing them at me. He's throwing them at Hank Brennan. And Hank Brennan's not talking. As a matter of fact, no one on that side, for whatever fucking reason, is talking. They definitely got away with it. And when only one side is talking, that's the narrative that's taking hold. And the narrative that is taking hold is this narrative of factually innocent, as if they had the wrong person on trial. And there's only, like many of you, there's a limit to how much I could even listen to. Again, if you want to say, if they want to argue, they out lawyered Hank Brennan. They had their way with the judge. I'm not saying I disagree with that. Hey, listen, the police, the way this whole thing has been handled, without question, talk about not a perfect investigation. Definitely some blame to go around, but like major timeout on the fact. I can't listen to the factually innocent because it was 2 years ago, and I have people. You picked the wrong side. I didn't pick a side. I looked at the case. I looked at the evidence. Now remember, if you're on Facebook, you can send stars if you like what I'm saying. If you're on YouTube, you can send super chats or super thanks or whatever it is. I don't know if there's an audience. I don't know. It's unproven. But I'll say this. There's some key people here that if they don't speak out, I just don't see where this goes. And like the O'Keefes, how much longer are they going to just remain silent? Like, what do they think is going to happen with the next jury? Do they think they're magically going to find people that haven't heard of it, or they want it? Like, are there people that thinking that? Here's a spoiler alert. That's not going to happen. They're going to do the same thing all over again. And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if Karen starts going, people are saying she's going to launch lawsuits. I wouldn't be surprised if Karen Reed launches a lawsuit against, the Alberts, the McKinney, like everyone else. Hey, if we're doing wrongful death, I'm pretty confident I can get a jury to say that you did it. Where is this going? I get it. It's not pleasant. Anybody that dips in, the first thing, it's not pleasant. I get that. But I have a problem with people trying to rewrite, as Michael Corleone said to Carlo, when you try to lie to me, you insult my intelligence, before he had him, strangled in the car out front. Who approached you? It was Barsini, Was it Barsini or Tatalia? Thank you, Mass Swift. Thank you. There we go. I don't understand the silence. I'm with you. Silence is compliance. It's their decision. I get that. But it's not, the mob's not going away. And the narrative is picking up of like, we got to find the real killers out there, which is ludicrous. And I get it. The Boston media, they're all tracking the latest developments with the Massachusetts State Police. I'm not here to defend them. I'm not. Clearly. But what do I have a problem with? I mean, Alan Jackson, you ever seen anybody take a victory lap? Again, he's not poking my eye. He's not throwing down on me. I mean, I wasn't. He's throwing down at that, definitely in Hank Brennan, and I'm a maestro. The Vanity Fair article. What I find striking about the article in Vanity Fair is it would seem they didn't even reach out because that they just know it's going to be silence. But is this going to be the new way? Like, this is the new model. Whoever makes the most noise and goes after people, that's who is then going to end up walking. I mean, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Everyone seems to be comfortable with who were the players involved in this situation. But as I've said in the past, let's switch some of the players. And let's make it, I don't know, a dangerous gang, some gang members. There are some people that seemingly don't have a problem with some of the people that have been targeted, that were harassed, who, Karen Reed had a plan. We're going to make life so unpleasant for these people. They're going to say, forget it, I'm not testifying. If they don't testify, the case disappears. That happens, by the way, that happens all the time. Mostly happens in domestic situations where somebody calls the police. It's a domestic situation. The police come. Then they have a chance. They think it over a little bit and they say, you know what, I'm not going to testify. And then the charges are dropped. It does happen. I think that was the plan. But for the people, and I get it, like, and it's people, that I would never know, never encounter. The one that gets me is you picked the wrong side. I didn't pick a side. 2 years, I picked the side that made the most sense, 2 years ago, the case was presented to me. 2 years ago, July of 23. And I was also told it was never going to see the light of day. It was this case is not going forward. It's not going to go forward. Blah, blah, blah. There's all this different stuff. The case that was presented to me, I never believed the Google search. I was proven right. There was a guy named Scanlon, and Brian Albert confessed to him the day after, the 2 days after, whatever. That never emerged as truth. I never believed the dog bites. And I never believed, I look at how they jumped off. He was killed in the basement. I think it's interesting. Alan Jackson, the thing he wants to press upon Vanity Fair, like they've settled on a talking point. And by the way, this will be, I would imagine, this will be the talking point with the O'Keefe wrongful death, which is, then they just say it clearly, John O'Keefe did not die from being hit by a car. Okay, that's interesting. It seemingly worked less than a month ago, but that wasn't the story 2 years ago, and it wasn't the story in the first trial. So no one is blaming. I don't blame the O'Keefes for staying silent. I'm not blaming anyone, Claudia. I'm actually not blaming anyone. But at the same token, and I mean that, I don't walk in their shoes. I'm not one of the witnesses. I don't have to deal with that. I'm not saying that. And I want to, I'm glad you said that. I'm not trying to blame anybody. But what I'm trying to, number one, rationalize, because I've had people, hey, what's the latest? Keep talking about it. Talk about what? Talk about what? There's one side that's talking. And it's not the side that was supporting the O'Keefes. This isn't about blame. But if we stay on that track, and I'm not singling out Claudia, I know, and he's getting pummeled by AJ. Here's my question: what would there's going to be a different this time, right? The definition of insanity is you do the same thing more than once, over and over, and you expect a different result. So I get it, the business of, and I'm not trying to pick on Claudia, who I value, but it's not a matter of blaming. There's different people in the circle, and I get it. There's a loud mob, there is, but if you notice, it's not enough. It's seemingly not enough for them to just say, we're just glad they arrived at a not guilty and ride off into the sunset. That certainly does not seem to be happening. When I see posted on X, right now we're live on X and Facebook and also on YouTube. And, when I see David Yannetti and he's posting index cards, he posted that and saying, well, these were questions I was going to ask Brian Albert. Time out. He didn't testify. You didn't call him. What is this? I want to show everyone how I was going to go out. Like, what? I've never seen that before. I've never seen, these were the questions I almost asked him. Listen, I get it. I also want to be very clear. I I really think that it's a matter of perspective. And the jury had and has a perspective that we didn't have, which is, now again, I heard about the case 2 years ago. The case I heard about 2 years ago, Karen was brainwashed. They convinced her that she had done this. Like, all of it has kind of, it's morphed, it's evolved, it's actually faded. And they've settled on, he wasn't, there was no collision. They settled on that. It took them a little while. Took them, but I understand whatever the jurors came to, which is, we don't like this one, we like this one, we don't like this one, we believe that, we don't believe that. They have a different perspective. We view it differently. When I saw the jury, I was convinced they had their minds up. I was right. I was just wrong on which side they were convinced of. I saw a group of people that seemed to be riding the Hank Brennan train. And then obviously we found out that was not the case. So, I mean, that's what I saw. But however they arrived at that, we weren't in the deliberating room. We weren't. They were. They sat through. There seems to be different definitions of reasonable doubt. There are, to me, and again, if Alan Jackson, if he really drilled that down and it was effective, what can you say? I mean, it doesn't seem reasonable. It doesn't seem, and I go back to that person, the juror, that said, even if you're 99.9% sure, that's not enough. Well, that's enough in most cases, as a matter of fact. That's enough that defendants don't go to trial. That's enough that there are plea bargains. That's enough that, based on that formula, no one would ever be convicted. No one, we might as well throw out every eyewitness. And I'm just talking about in all cases, as a matter of fact. But here's the thing. I don't hear anyone talking. And I don't get it. There's no public official that's talking. All I've heard from day one is, Morrissey is a buffoon. He's certainly not saying anything. I want to be very clear. I just don't hear anyone even addressing some of the things that are being said. Yeah, it's true. Alan Jackson, he's out on the West Coast. He's already going to be involved with a very high profile case out there, family of means. He says in the Vanity Fair case, this both trials would have cost $10 million. Now, that's pretty powerful to put out there. Who would make a phone call would be somewhat of means. But what I'm trying to tell you and trying to say is that there's a dynamic here, and there's only one side that's speaking. And by the way, I don't know if that's going to change. But why would anyone think? I don't see why. I don't know when the civil trial is going to be with the O'Keeffes. Obviously, I sympathize with the O'Keefe family. They don't have one public official speaking out. They don't have anyone that works in that office. They don't have anyone. They don't have any of their friends. It comes across that everyone is just supposed to accept this new narrative. And the new narrative, it's like a new, I don't know what it is. It's like a new fantasy land. In the fantasy land, that now it's someone that was wrongfully accused. Now that is much different than where this whole thing started. Especially, and I agree, it doesn't make sense. Okay, why am we can't relitigate what just happened. We can't, it's pointless to. That's why I haven't done any lives on it or anything. For what? There's no one stepping forward that says, I want to tell my story. No one that I'm aware of. And I monitor everything. I don't see anyone else stepping forward. I haven't seen I haven't seen any of the witnesses. I did see, the Friday night after John Jackson spoke out. He certainly gave it to Vinny on Court TV. But other than that, and I get it. I don't want people to think we're not trying to relitigate it. I think there's different people. It's interesting to me, like Yannetti posting. These were the look how I was prepped for a witness that I never called. I find that a little odd. I find that bizarre a little bit. Really, what else? What do you have all these photos and videos now? That we're gonna start to see. And it seems like false. It's like I don't know the point of that. But they're definitely sending a message, right? I also want to be very clear. He and Alessi making the rounds, those guys have the right to do that. They absolutely have the right to do that. But I think what just really strikes me and caught my attention was this narrative about someone factually innocent. I mean, I don't want to relive. I'm not relive the whole friggin' thing. But that, one of the jurors, I think the car touched him a little bit, but I mean, what exactly do you think they were trying to prove, right? I like everyone else. I don't fully get it. Like if someone said that, you would think that would have been one of the people. Like, well, come on. I mean, the car definitely, but that's not the direction that person went. So. Not that I'm aware of. So I want, I hear you. I hear different people reach out. Netflix will never watch it. Well, I think there's going to be a special coming up, but when is there going to be a special coming up on that? So I just don't know. I don't see anyone kind of leading the pack to leave Fantasyland. I get the whole thing of to the victor goes the spoils. Hey, that's side one. I certainly didn't view it as, people, you picked the wrong side. I wasn't betting on a game. I looked at a case, talked it over with an attorney, talked it over with a couple other people. And if anything, my view of it from 2 years ago, if anything, it cemented to the argument that Hank was making. Even firmer. And that was before I didn't know anyone involved, nothing like that, zero. Just what was presented to me. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I still don't, obviously. And now it's going a whole different direction. A spaceship came down. That's what must have done it. But here's the thing: if you're Alan Jackson, why should he not run up the score? Why should he not be spiking the ball in the end zone? Why should he? There's no one pushing back. There's no one punching back. I have people saying, well, those guys should face disciplinary action. Is there anyone right now that thinks any of that is going to happen? I don't see anything. I mean, where is it? I don't see anything. I don't see anybody speaking out. I don't see any lawsuits, which I really defy logic. How is Colin Albert not? I don't get that. He wasn't even mentioned this time around. They basically were going after him, and he had to leave college because people were, calling him a murderer. Yannetti was trying to get him added to that. Seemingly he had nothing to do with it. I don't get it. Now, again, I don't know him. But I am surprised that, where is the litigation on some of that stuff? And how come there isn't someone speaking out and saying, let's be clear about what happened here? I don't know. I mean, Norfolk County, without question, has been in the center of the storm, and people would call it a laughingstock. Certainly no profiles in courage. That's for sure. Like I don't get it. I've had people, I won't say who, but people even in media that I've spoken to saying, like, I don't get the silence from all. Like, how come they're not screaming from the top of the rooftops? And because if you listen to what they say, the people involved, if you listen to what they're claiming, according to them, she made up the whole thing. And if that's the case, why aren't they saying that? As someone said to me, if there was ever a group that acts like guilty people or suspicious people, it's the people that are silent. And that is really tough to argue. I mean, that's not only maybe tough to argue with, it's borders on impossible to argue with. If you seemingly, and I believe that those people had nothing to do with it, but listen, I don't know what to make at this point. I'm trying to tell you, because I've had people, there's developments, and how come you're not talking about it? And like what? To sit here alone talking as much as I like talking to all of you? And what, are we supposed to just keep regurgitating the whole thing? I don't think that that's very interesting. I don't have really any interest in talking about that. but it is pretty it's pretty amazing. And there's no elected official, right? Governor Healy, what does she say? Cue the cliche. Well, the jury has spoken. Oh, okay. Boy, we've never heard that before. Who wrote that for you? The jury has spoken. Yeah, there was a lot else kind of not only that went on with that, but still going on with it. I was contacted with. I am in touch with someone that was friendly with Anna Walsh, and I won't say who because they asked me to keep them private. But they were saying, what is this talk that people are going to be rallying to his defense? I said, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's very possible. Listen, after this, anything is possible. Would then anybody speak out? Like, at what point do people speak out? Because I can't believe the silence I hear. I also noticed, though, the state police, Massachusetts State Police, they put out a statement, and that seems to people think like that satisfies, but it's gone like that. Just a written statement. And the Massachusetts State Police, they did put that out, but it's then gone. There's no. What do I think? I again, then certainly the Massachusetts State Police aren't asking me for advice, but I think you the head of the state police, you got a problem in here. You make the rounds. You start doing some interviews. You start answering and taking on tough questions. Because I started off by saying, when you have one side that's speaking and the other side is silent, what narrative do you think takes hold? In politics, which I've covered for a very long time, they talk about you have to, they're saying, Brian Walsh, you got to let him go. So this person who knew Anna said, like, what is this? What is going on up there? I said, I saw that as well. Now, again, let's wait till the trial happens in October. I don't know what to make of that. So now we have to let him go. Why do we have to let him go? What are these new rules? It's like Massachusetts has morphed into the purge. Like, what is this? But in politics, when you have two people running, if person one, candidate A, is able to define candidate B before candidate B can define themselves, they're swimming upstream. So right now, and it's very possible, by the way, all the people connected, they may say, we're so tired of it. I get that. Maybe some people say, you know what, I'm moving out of this area. Who can argue with that? The O'Keefes could say, we're going to get our day in court. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure why they think the situation with the jury would be any different than the situation we just witnessed. But again, I'm not privy to that. So maybe they're going to get a different result. I don't I'm not sure why they would arrive at that conclusion. But I'm just amazed that when in Alan Jackson, as I've said, the Vanity Fair piece, he's got to just be laughing. He is laughing. I mean, at the whole thing of that he just came in and completely kicked their fucking ass and is laughing about it out on the West Coast. And no one does anything and no one says anything. Like, I can't think, they just take it. They just take it. Like, I can't, like I was saying, the whole thing of they're not, Claudia. They're not. I was talking to a friend in the city. He's like, wow, so much for Boston Strong. And he's not wrong. Like, I remember the whole thing with the marathon bombing and Big Poppy and the whole Boston Strong thing. That is going by the fucking wayside in a big way. I mean, to me, unless someone showed me something differently, I think Massachusetts right now, is there a place where police are hated more than in Massachusetts? I don't think so. Boston Strong, hardly. Just the opposite, as a matter of fact. But I don't get that no one says anything. No one protests. No one, and I don't mean like have a protest. I'm just saying, like, there's no elected official. There's no one that holds public office that steps up and says, hey, this is bullshit. And I have a problem and blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Zero pushback. You just think at different times in history, where there was one group of people that were terrorized and they just like went along, right? I mean, I don't want to get too melodramatic, but I've been to Germany. I've been to Poland. I've been to Israel. I mean, it's just like there's no fight. There's no like, twisted system. We're not going to take it. There's no one that stands up and says, wrong, that is bullshit, this is going to change, blah, blah. Nothing. Totally compliant. And as I have said, silence is compliance. So why did I come on? I mean, number one, the Vanity Fair article affirms to me, I just don't think he's stopping. And if people are upset by that, since 10 people sent it to me today, wait till the movie comes out. Wait till the Alan Jackson, wait till that movie comes out. He's part of that. He is fearless right now. He is throwing haymakers. I've never seen anyone behave in this manner. And there's no one stopping him, by the way. There's no one like, that's enough. Give me a microphone. Man, it is crickets. It is silence. And by the way, let me just be very clear. I'm not talking about with me. I'm talking like something, right? Like just speaking out. All the silence. I think it just adds. It builds. It builds to people hiding something. They're hiding something. Notice they're all quiet. I think it just raises the era of suspicion. That's what I hear from a lot of people. So, folks, again, I want to reset. This is not, we're not trying to relitigate, not doing that. Not trying to, you're a sore, no, not a sore loser. No, I was there. I was in the courtroom. I was there. I am picking up, covering other stories, but I do get people that have reached out to me and, kind of like under the guise of how come no one's talking about this? But the reason is because the people that could be talking are just not talking. And it could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're not up to it. Maybe they're trying to just slip under the radar back to, maybe they're trying to like write it off like it was just a bad nightmare almost. And they're just trying to get back in. The problem is I'm not convinced that the mob is going away. But it is, and how does anyone contend with Alan Jackson is, I mean, that's just Vanity Fair. Like I said, wait till the movie comes. comes out. If he is saying this stuff, can you imagine how that's going to come across? I think it's, like I've said, I don't get it. You know, in all honesty, I've never gotten the silence. I've never gotten the silence from when this story first came out, mishandled by the state of Massachusetts, the authorities. I don't get where's the lawsuit against them? So where's the lawsuit against all of these individuals? I for the life of me, the silence, it doesn't change the narrative, because there's a very strong narrative out there, very strong, and it's getting stronger by the day. And not only is it getting stronger, and I'll just say this, and I don't want to, but not only is the narrative getting stronger, it's changing. The narrative's changing. I think that's what has caught my attention the most, is a lot of people what they first looked at this was, and where they're trying to bring everyone to. I find that to me, I find that really interesting. I mean, after OJ, it was, it became like a joke of he's searching for the real killers. But what I notice is it's more of like literally trying to change the narrative of what actually happened. So that is different. Now, again, I wasn't in the house. I didn't have to testify. I'm not trying to say, they're not, and she's still out there going after them, and they're still leaking out stuff. It's like their campaign is revving up for when will people, maybe they won't, by the way, maybe they won't, maybe some people will never, and that is their prerogative. I want to be very clear about that. I get it. They've been through a lot and life-changing and so forth, and they could easily say, you don't know what it's like. They're exactly right. That's very true. But where is this going to go? There was a time, I'll just leave it at this. There was a time that I think I even said jokingly, if Karen has her way, the people in the house are going to end up in handcuffs. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that's so far-fetched anymore with the agenda. Like that's like where everything seems to be going. You start going after them. Imagine that, suing them for the wrongful death. And here's the thing, as much as someone could dismiss that, if you're so confident that you could convince a jury, why would you not why would she not play that angle out? If she was able to convince all these people on the jury that it happened in the garage, who's to say it couldn't happen where then you go after those individuals? I'm not saying I want that to happen. And also, the civil is much different because it's so much more. It's depositions. Again, I'll use OJ as the model. He didn't go to court and have to, there was through depositions he had to do it. But whenever there's a jury involved, the other side, they have no reason to believe they would not be successful with a jury. I'll say that. So, folks, listen, it's Tuesday. I don't know. We are going to do something with this time period. I'm still trying to flesh it out a little bit. I envision having some different guests. I was actually going to do something totally different, and then the Vanity Fair story hit. So, boy, he is take no prisoners. He is take no prisoners. I just, I think just the idea of anyone ever put that he had landed at Logan Airport, I'm starting to think that Norfolk County, they just becomes like groundhog. They just want to go underground. I've never seen anybody. Alan Jackson is, he is one of a kind. That guy. Wow. I've never seen anyone. He's turned an entire state upside down and has all the public officials in that state like quaking in their boot. Like it's really, really amazing. So, all right, folks, it's hot out. We will be out with the police later tonight. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you follow the page. I don't know if this is any I'm not going to say help, but just answer some questions because, um, oh, I see. Um, I don't know if that, I'm not saying it's going to help anything, but I did want to answer. I have some, like to me, just to finish, I don't have, I don't see any interest. I have to be interested in the story. I have to be interested in the story. I don't see any interest in rehashing what's just happened. So if it morphs into something new, different, that'd be one thing. But there's no point. There, there is no point. All right, everybody, stay cool on this Tuesday night. Thank you to Debbie.